Hello, welcome to AFCON tonight with me, Razak Musbao, and it's been a very special 2023 African Cup of Nations. I mean, it's been very unforgiving, very ruthless in every sense you can think of it. South Africa have defeated Morocco by 2-0. The big question is that who saw that coming, especially for Morocco, who were tipped as favourite coming to this tournament, particularly following their impressive performance at the World Cup. But they are out of the tournament in the round of 16, and this follows the Ivorians' triumph over reigning champion Senegal. Now, what this tournament has done is that the top 5 ranked teams on the African continent have all exited the tournament. The top 5 ranked teams on the African tournament have all exited the tournament, and that is shocking. And furthermore is the fact that the first 4 place teams from the 2021 edition have also all exited the tournament. Reigning champion Senegal, who came first, out. Egypt, who came second, out. Cameroon, who came third, out. And even Burkina Faso, who played 4th, are also out of the tournament. So it's been a tournament to remember. And today on AFCON tonight, we'll be taking a closer look at all the teams that were engaged in the round of 16 fixtures. And of course, we just also take a closer look at the quarter-final fixtures that are coming up starting on Friday. Daniel Kranti will be joining me in the studio, and we'll be taking a closer look at all the games. Please do stay, and hopefully tonight we'll be able to hear from you on the performances of the teams in the round of 16. My name is Razak Musbao once again, and the show is brought to you by MTN, and MTN will say, everywhere you go. We'll take a quick break, and I will introduce Daniel to you. Hello, welcome back. It's AFCON tonight, and Daniel Kranti is here. Daniel, what an AFCON we're experiencing.
I'm super excited.
My goodness.
I'm super excited. When I was climbing up here, I needed to remind myself I was in South Africa. But I'm really, really excited.
Wow.
Great results for Bafana Bafana. Super results.
Top 5 ranked teams on the continent have all left the competition as at the round of 16 stage.
If you don't show up, you're getting kicked out. That's the quality of the AFCON. Nobody has made it this far by limping through. You have to be top quality to reach it. And we spoke about it. That's what knockout competitions gives you. You can look at the group stages, whatever you want. When you come out into the knockout rounds, you need to up the ante. You need to be much better than you were and much more disciplined. And today, South Africa showed that they were by far the better team. I think it was a very much deserved victory for them. 2-0 on the day, fantastic performance. And Morocco out. I mentioned at the start of the when we started the show, even at the end of the group stages, that the Moroccans hadn't impressed me too much. I think the only good game they had was against Tanzania. Even that, their performance was raised when Tanzania got a red card. So I was still waiting for them to prove to me why they should go, or why most people were tipping them, and they'll never prove to me because they are out.
And the point was that, of course, maybe they weren't so impressive in the group stage, and the thinking was that hopefully the knockout phase, we might see them come into the party, but it looked like it didn't happen for them. Well, just to also mention that we are joined all the way from Abidjan by John Buff, who is a sports analyst. He's been monitoring the games, and of course, he was there in that thriller yesterday where the Ivorians managed to pip Senegal. It was a really, really decent game on penalties. And of course, he was also caught up in the frenzy and the jubilation. John, good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us on AFCON tonight. And I'm sure you are joining us learning of I'm not sure if I should describe it as a shocking defeat that the South Africans have handed to Morocco.
Good evening, Razak. Good evening, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I'm here shocked. I think the rest of Abidjan is also shocked. tonight's result. Morocco had become basically the B team for Ivory Coast because they helped Ivory Coast really pull themselves up and make it to the next round of the fixtures. So everyone in Ivory Coast was pulling for this Moroccan team, but they weren't able to pull through, and they lost 2-0. So I'm still shocked, a bit emotional about it, but you know, the tournament keeps moving on.
You say you're emotional about it? That's.
Yeah, because there's really a real bond between Ivory Coast and Morocco, and you could see it even on social media with the partying and the celebration that the Moroccans brought by supporting the Ivory Coast team, and vice versa. So everyone in Abidjan here, at least the locals, were supporting this Moroccan team, and it comes as a shock that they weren't able to pull through. But as Daniel said, they had been below par since the beginning of AFCON, and so although it is shocking, it also kind of makes sense. They weren't able to take their chances. And that's one thing that this AFCON has been able to prove to us. If you don't take your chances, someone else will, and you'll be out.
I'm sure the Ivorians were hoping to continue the party tonight on behalf of the Moroccans, but it didn't happen. But South Africa, though, you have been impressed with how they've played. Of course, their first game didn't quite work out well for them. And the second game, they showed real class, defeating Namibia. And in the third game against Tunisia, right? And they managed to hold Tunisia and advance to the next level of the competition. You were impressed, especially with how they were attacking. And we see tonight the kind of game they put up. And clearly, Hugo Broos is doing some fantastic job there.
Look, we knew the South Africa team was a very good attacking unit. The only problem coming into this competition was their difficulty in finding the back of the net. And that's where we thought would be their undoing. But then you have to credit the head coach. He's coached this team really well, especially throughout the group stages. You saw what happened against Mali, where they missed a penalty. Mali turned it around, won by 2-0. But the way they bounced back in that second game, 4-0 against Namibia, it gave them confidence going into the last game, and they did the job against Tunisia. Then now they come up against this Moroccan team, gave Morocco the respect, knowing that yes, Morocco was a big team, but we always knew the shortcomings of this Moroccan team. When you look at how far they went in the World Cup, they didn't go because they were playing some sweet attacking football. They went because they were very compact at the back, very difficult to break down, and they used set pieces to undo teams. At this AFCON, because they had their favorite star, teams who want them to come at them. And Morocco doesn't really have that strength when it comes to breaking down opposition. And South Africa took advantage of that, knowing that if they can trade possession and allow the Moroccans to be a bit open, when they are attacking, they'll find a bit more spaces in there. And that was a smart game plan, and they did it to perfection. Even at 1-0, I personally thought South Africa should have been a bit smarter, especially in the second half, and closed it up a bit. Not necessarily sit back, but be a bit more compact and a bit more tidy on the ball when they're attacking. But they didn't do that. I think they were lucky. The penalty incident could have been a goal had it not touched the defender's hand. Then Hakimi goes on to miss the penalty. So you have to ride your luck also. But even after that, they showed their superior technical quality. You saw the second goal. Excellent stuff there. Amrabat getting sent off. And even on the Amrabat sending off, I think it was coming. Why? Because there were a number of situations in the last 10 minutes where Amrabat was the last man covering for the Moroccan team. He lacks pace, and for the team structure to leave him as the last man, for me, was suicidal. But that would just tell you how desperate Morocco were in trying to get the equalizer. But all in all, I think it's followed the trend that we've seen in this competition. Morocco haven't been impressive. They struggle to break teams down, struggle to create opportunities, carve teams open. And South Africa have shown that they can carve teams open on the attack. They are a very potent unit. So I'm happy that the better team won on the day.
I mean, John, interestingly, South Africa were not there in the previous tournament, and it was a massive disappointment for them. And when they got Hugo Broos on board, the task was to get the team to qualify for the AFCON. He did that. And now they are going all the way to the quarterfinal. The next game against Cape Verde. And so the South Africans will be relishing possibly licking their lips and saying, well, Capo Verde, just maybe we can try and grind some results and find ourselves in the semi-final. I mean, have you been surprised with South Africa's performance? Have you genuinely been surprised with their performance?
Yeah, South Africa has been a solid team so far in the AFCON. They haven't won the AFCON since 1996. So the fact that they weren't there in the last AFCON was really disappointing to the people in South Africa. But they'll be buoyed by the fact that their rugby team recently won the World Cup, and maybe that kind of stardust or that kind of luck will carry them at least a little bit further or past at least Cape Verde to make it to the semifinals. But to go back to discuss this game in hand, this game that just finished, the 2-0 win from Morocco. If you look at the statistics, it goes back to the point of the fact that Morocco should have taken their chances. If you look at the expected goals for Morocco, they had an expected goals of 2.17. So technically, had they converted those chances, it would not have been a 2-0 defeat, and they would have been able to score at least those 2 goals. And if you look conversely at the expected goals of South Africa, it's at a measly 0.29. So it just tells you basically a bit of the story about how, at the end of the day, if you don't take your chances, you're going to end up getting punished. South Africa would probably move on to the next stage thinking that they have all their chances against a team of Cape Verde, which is a good team with some great players, but they're definitely not the likes of Morocco.
Well, definitely not the likes of Morocco. So it's really turning out to be really interesting now. And at the moment, I'm not sure how many teams in the quarterfinal stage were even tipped to win the tournament. Maybe Nigeria, maybe Ivory Coast in there. Not sure which other country were possibly tipped as favorite to win the tournament. But at the moment, that's what we have now. We have Angola in there. We have Capo Verde in there. We have Ivory Coast in there, we have Nigeria in there, now we have South Africa in there, and we have Guinea in there, likewise Mali, and it's looking fascinating. This is the quarterfinal fixtures. We're going to have them on your screen very shortly, but one game, of course, a lot of people were looking forward to is starting on Friday, is Nigeria taking on Angola. Really good game, and of course we're going to see also Mali in action against Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast versus Mali. Really another interesting game. And of course, South Africa will play Capo Verde, and then Guinea will also be in action over there. Will also be in action. And we're going to have them on the screen. Do we have them on the screen now? Okay, we're going to have them on your screen. But John, I mean, okay, we have them on your screen now?
It's
great. So I mean, John, I mean, these are the fixtures in the quarterfinals. I mean, which of them are you looking forward to? Just pick 2 of them and talk to me about them.
I'm looking forward to two games. The Nigeria game against Angola will be an exciting game. I think that the Nigerians have shown that they have the quality to go far and potentially even win the whole African Cup of Nations. As a Ghanaian, you don't want them to be able to win it, because then it means potentially them gloating and making fun of
Daniel definitely doesn't want that to happen.
Daniel definitely doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But as a fan of football, seeing the passion of Victor Osimhen, seeing the passion of the rest of the team, the way that they push, the way that they play for each other, that's something that's really fantastic to see. So that's one of the first games. And then also as an adopted Ivorian that I am, living here for the last 5 years, I'm definitely looking forward also to the Mali versus Ivory Coast game. Like I was saying earlier, there's going to be a little bit of a grudge coming from the Ivorians, and especially from the fans that were quite mad at this Mali team for not pushing more to help them qualify. And it took the heroic performance from the Morocco team to help drag this Ivorian team to this stage, well, the last stage of the tournament, and then now into the quarterfinals. So those are the two games that I'll be looking forward to watch, and hopefully I'll be able to watch them also in person.
Great, amazing. If you could just have the fixtures back again, the quarterfinal fixtures on the screen again, and so we can just run through them. But then, I mean, he is looking forward to the Mali-Ivory Coast game. It's understandable. And he also has an eye on the Nigeria-Angola game, the first happening in Abidjan. So that's it. Angola-Nigeria, 5 p.m. on Friday. And Guinea-DR Congo. This is really going to be a good game, Daniel. Guinea-DR Congo, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good game, especially because of the way Congo plays. They are that very potent attacking unit in terms of chances creation, in terms of finishing. But going forward, they are very interesting to watch. And they are the sort of team that also allows their opposition to play football. The way they play, you can't decide to sit back. You will be forced to open up and play. We know Guinea also are a very expressive team. So I see a very interesting game. Although both teams have struggled with goal scoring, I still see a very interesting game. But from what this competition is teaching us, you can't necessarily just judge based on previous games. Teams have the ability to turn it up when it matters most. So don't be surprised that DRC find their scoring boots, or don't be surprised that Guinea find their scoring boots in that particular game. But of course, I agree with John, that Nigeria-Angola game is really one to watch, especially because of the storylines around it. We've heard the Angolans basically calling out Nigeria in the quarterfinal.
We're not afraid of you.
Exactly.
We're not afraid of you.
The Nigerians are also inching closer. They are beginning to believe that they could go all the way, especially when they look at the rest of the teams left in the competition. On paper, Nigeria can and should be beating all these teams on paper. So as at this point in time, Nigeria are the favorites for the competition. So they will begin to believe, or they have begun to believe that they can go all the way, and that should make a very interesting clash.
Yeah, man, it should make a very interesting clash over there. And so those are the games that Angola-Nigeria. That's going to be the first, quarterfinal fixture. And then you have DR Congo and Guinea following. And following that is Ivory Coast and Mali, another very big one. And then Cape Verde versus South Africa. And just like we mentioned, South Africans will be relishing this, but Cape Verde clearly proven to be a very stubborn side. And I'm sure even they will be excited that they're facing South Africa, because South Africa is not too different from some of the sides that they've faced over there. Ghana, Mozambique, Egypt, and even the team they face in the... they face what?
South Africa,
right?
South Africa is very different from Ghana and Egypt. Because South Africa like to play football. Ghana can't play football. Egypt don't know how to play football.
Can't play football.
No, but it's true. We saw it in the competition. South Africa actually have very well-worked patterns. We've seen them repeat itself throughout the group stages. The only pattern that repeated itself throughout Ghana's campaign was giving the ball to Kudus for him to do magic. So those are two completely different things. But I really feel like after that Nigeria-Angola game, the South Africa-Cape Verde game should be also very interesting, because these are, again, both teams who like to play. It means there will be a lot of spaces to be exploited. Today's a performance for Morocco was probably their best attacking performance in terms of chances created. They don't face teams that usually like to open up and play football. So this was the first time we're seeing the Moroccans hammer at goal and try and get goal after goal. Unfortunately, they didn't get a goal. I'm showing my bias, but I really don't care. But against Cape Verde, I think it's going to be a very similar thing that we'll see us in two teams going at each other, and it might just come down to who is superior and putting the ball in the back of the net. And so far we've seen that the Cape Verdeans are really good at it. I'm tipping them to win. I want them to win. When you look at their progress over the past couple of years, and you look at where they've reached now, you can't, especially for a neutral, my country is not in it right now, so I'm at liberty to choose whoever I want to support. And I am giving my support to Cape Verde. I think they've done a fantastic job, and I would love to see them in the semi-final.
Well, you supported Burkina Faso. It didn't quite work out well for them. You were supporting your neighbors. It worked out for Ivory Coast, though. And let's stay on Ivory Coast, because on the streets of Abidjan, in Kohogo, in Yamoussoukro, John, you might have to help me with some of the names of the cities. It was really exciting. Yesterday here, I wish I shared the video. You should have seen Daniel, John. He was running all over the place, celebrating Ivory Coast's win over Senegal. He seemed to have a certain affinity for his neighbors. So he said he supports Burkina, he supports Ivory Coast because they are neighbors. He was running around the studio here when you know, your boys managed to nick in the final penalty. But while that celebration was happening here on the streets of Abidjan, for a moment, I even got scared for some of them because it was unbelievable. Did you see the guy who was naked riding the motorcycle? Did you see the video?
I loved it.
Please, if you haven't seen some of it, this is what happened. Let's have the sound. Let's have the sound. Basically, that's what happened. I'm sure this was an area where they were watching the game. Yeah, fun park. I'm sure this was a drone shot, sort of. And this was beautiful. This is the kind of atmosphere. I'm sure it reminds me of 2008 when Ghana hosted it. You know, when Ghana hosted it and we're winning our games, it was really, really exciting. And this is the kind of atmosphere the AFCON brings. And when the host nation is still in the tournament, you get to see these beautiful scenes. And really, really enjoyable, really enjoyable. I'm sure this is not the only video we have, right? There were some... okay, so this was the part that was quite heartbreaking.
I want to see those who are happy, not those who are sad.
Yeah. But these are the Senegalese after the game. Bamba, Thierry, you know, you could see Thierry very disappointed. Oh, my days, you could see that. For some of them, they were hoping to do back-to-back, but it's never happened. Since Egypt did it, it never happened for any reigning champion. And you could see Alhaji Diouf there coming to the field. He came onto the field to celebrate with them when they won, and when, you know, it turned out sour for them, he's back on the field trying to celebrate with them. So that's what happened in Abidjan, and this is what our cameras were, okay, not our cameras, fair to say, you know, this is where the cameras were able to capture. But John actually experienced it himself, and I'm curious how he celebrated it. John, how did you celebrate the victory yesterday?
Well, funny enough, I ended up in the section with the Senegalese fans, and I saw the kind of passion that they had and the closeness also that they had towards the team. At the end of the match, the team came to thank them, but throughout 120 minutes, they were there singing, dancing, and really pushing for the team. So once I was able to make it outside of enemy territory, I made it outside, and I saw the sea really of orange. People really, really excited and elated about the fact that the host team had beaten the reigning champions. You could see that it was something that was unexpected, and that everyone was just out in the streets singing, blowing their whistles. Everyone was in a great mood. And I understand your point, Razak, about potentially being a dangerous kind of situation, but you could feel it in the air that there was so much excitement, and everyone there really just wanted to just celebrate. And one thing that I also saw that which was really beautiful was the fact that some of the Senegalese fans were really distraught. I think this is one of the first times that I've ever seen so many, you know, adult men and women crying, being genuinely heartbroken over a loss, and then seeing the Ivorian fans going to trying to console them. And so yeah, it was a beautiful scene, and I was glad to be there, to be able to experience it. And I'll be making my way to Bouaké against Mali and hoping that the 40,000 people at Stade de la Paix will be able to also experience that if Ivory Coast beats Mali.
Well, it's been fun. I'm sure some of you have seen the videos on social media. Is there any particular video that really interested, apart from the one guy was riding naked? Any other one that was?
Yeah, the one of our colleague journalists was jubilating in the stand.
Yeah. Oh my days. John, have you seen that video though?
And was dancing.
Oh,
I loved it. It was good. It was good. And look, that's when the host team is doing well. Trust me, even the organizers are happy because it helps. It helps the feeling around the competition. It means everywhere you go, people are still excited about the competition. It whips out a lot of interest, and people are eager to go to games. Now, don't be surprised if Ivorian fans will want to go and watch a neutral game by just having that happiness and confidence that their team is also going to play next. It's way better than the host nation crashing out early. So it's really a good thing. And I'm happy for this Ivorian team, especially because at the start of the competition, when I when you looked at their squad list and you looked at the quality on the squad list, it really didn't correspond with the sort of football we saw in the group stages. And for this, I think the federation is justified sacking the head coach, that was the former head coach. Yeah. He had to go because if it's not working out and you look at
it's unprecedented too.
No, but it's look, sometimes you need to make these very tough decisions. Midway through the competition, you look at it, you look at the quality your team has on paper, you look at what they could potentially be doing and what they are doing now. If it's not going well, you sack him. And I'm really happy for Fire. He's didn't play too much in the Premier League, but I remember one game he played for Reading against Arsenal, and he played good for me. So I remember I've remembered the face and I've liked him since then. So for him to go manage this first game, and look, if you look at the quality of coaching, the quality of instruction, and then the application also from the Ivorian point of view, you think that he has years and years of experience. But this is what happens when you are given a second chance, and you have, and I think John will be in a better position, but at least from outside, from what I was witnessing, it was like once the Ivorian people had learned that they had been given a second chance, they threw all their support behind the team. It wasn't about shouting and screaming and you should have done this. It was about what is in the past is in the past, and now let's go out in this game and tackle. And there's no reason why we can't beat Senegal. So I was really, really happy. Of course, you witnessed it yesterday. I was very, very excited. I was hoping that they would dismiss the Senegalese in regulation time, but that didn't happen. But a win is still a win.
I mean, let's stay on MS5 though. I mean, what have they been saying this in Ivorian media about him? Because look, when Jean-Louis Gasset was sacked, yes, he was named interim, but while he was training the team, the federation was trying to get Renard on loan to come and handle the team for the rest of the tournament. It didn't work out. Then I'm sure they finally told him that, champ, you got to do this job, so go there and do well. And he's gotten to do well. What have been the conversation in the Ivorian media about his performance yesterday?
I mean, people have been really praised his performance. I also commend him because amidst all the turmoil, amidst all the rumors of Hervé Renard coming in to manage the team until the end of the tournament, he turned off the noise and he was able to focus on what he wanted, and he focused on what he wanted the team to be able to achieve. And he was also a man who made decisions knowing that he had really nothing to lose. He had previously managed the under 23 team, and people were not very impressed by the results that he was able to get. So it was his way of being able to prove the doubters wrong. And you can see it in the traditional media and also on social media, where people are saying, yeah, you're the man now. You've been able to prove it to us, and we're now fully behind you. So in MS Faye, we trust, and we trust him to be able to lead us to the promised land as well.
Interesting, very interesting. Has the president been saying anything, though? Because, you know, when they were close to exiting, one of the things that came up was that $1 billion to organize a tournament only for you to exit in the group stage. That's quite a disappointment. But now they're in the quarterfinals. Any message from the politicians? Are they maybe now beginning to be excited that they spent $1 billion for the tournament?
I mean, I think they also see it really as an investment, because at the end of the day, like when you host big tournaments like the World Cup or any other tournament, some of the investments that you make, it's not something that you're going to get back immediately. So it's something that they know that putting so much money will also help the Ivorian economy in the long run. If you look at the roads that were renovated, if you look at the new roads that were constructed, and the new bridges and infrastructure in general, or even the renovation of some of the stadiums, is really a long-term investment. But my understanding is that the president, Alassane Ouattara, called the team to congratulate them, and even when they lost the last game 4-0, he, in one of his speeches, said that to be discouraged is not Ivorian. So there is that political element that's there, but it's not one that wants to take the spotlight. It's one that is more there to to encourage the team to do as well as they can. So to the benefit of the whole Ivorian country.
Fascinating stuff. John Baffo is joining us from Abidjan. They're still discussing the performances of the teams in the round of 16. And just like we mentioned, gone by, South Africa been able to get the better of Morocco. We'll try and get you highlights of that game before we leave here. And of course, early in the day, the game also did happen and is looking quite decent now. And we also mentioned that it's interesting to learn that the top 5 ranked teams on the continent have all exited the tournament. All of them have exited the tournament. All of them have exited. Egypt is out, Senegal is out, Tunisia is out, Algeria is out, Morocco is also out now. These are the best performing teams according to FIFA's ranking. They're all out of the tournament, all right? And even more interesting is the fact that the first to fourth place teams in the previous edition are also all out of the tournament. Senegal first, out, Egypt second, out, Cameroon third, out, Burkina Faso fourth, out. So it's been a really, really incredible tournament so far. And there was a conversation I was having with John earlier, and let me just bring you in here. Because yet another tournament, we are seeing the reigning champions failing to go beyond the group stage, beyond the round of 16. Some of them have exited the group stage. Some of them have gone as far as the round of 16. And since 2010, the farthest any reigning champion has gone is the round of 16. What could be accounting for this? Is it psychological? Is it just performance? Or what could be accounting for this?
Look, it's very interesting. I really don't know what to pin it down on because there are different reasons for each exit. You look at this Senegalese team now, they are a solid unit. They push the Ivorians. I just think that they faced a team that were a bit more motivated, a team that raised their abilities and their performances when they met them. And if you go back to the last competition, Algeria also had their own problems. The problems Algeria faced are not similar to what the Senegalese faced this time around. If you go even back to the competition in 2019, where Cameroon also failed to progress, it's also a very different thing. In 2017, when the Ivorian team got kicked out in the group stages, it was also very different. So it's one of those things that is just a very interesting trend, but as at now, maybe to take a bit more research to find what exactly the cause is. But it could also be psychological, because when something starts recurring and it's in the back of your mind that this thing has been happening to certain teams, it can affect you. And I think even in the World Cup, we've seen something like that. We saw the Italians win in 2006, get kicked out in the group stages in 2010. Spain won 2010, 2014 group stages, they were kicked out. Germany won 2014, 2018, they were kicked out. It's only France that defied the logic. So I think it's maybe it's a psychological barrier that teams need to break free of. And whoever will win this time around, next year Morocco will have to be up for it. Or maybe it could happen.
John, what do you think about it, though? What do you think could account for this? That the reigning champions since 2010, Egypt were the ones, won in 2010, 2012 couldn't, of course, they didn't even qualify for that tournament. But since then, the reigning champions of the tournament have only gone as far as the round of 16, and Senegal have suffered the same fate.
Yeah, I would probably join Daniel's point in that when these things start to become recurrent, there's a psychological effect that they may have on the players. And that could be proven yesterday with the fact that when Senegal scored the first goal, it seemed like they thought that they had done enough. So they were sitting back, they were less adventurous, less attacking, as if they were scared of potentially going out in the 16, and then it was a self-fulfilling prophecy at the end of the day. So let's try to see how it goes in the next AFCON. Hopefully, Côte d'Ivoire wins it this year, and then maybe in Morocco the next time around they'll be able to come out of this the 16th. But it's an interesting trend, like both of you guys mentioned, and I would say at the end of the day, we shouldn't read too much into it. But if it continues over the next 2 or 3 editions, maybe there's some kind of jinx that has set in.
Well, maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe the Ivorians will be hoping they can take inspiration from what Cameroon did in the last tournament. They managed to pick a medal in the last tournament after hosting it. Maybe that might work in the favor of the Ivorians this time, even if they are not able to, lift the trophy. Even if they are not able to lift the trophy, they just might get a medal over there, hoping because of what happened, in Cameroon over there. Well, this is AFCON tonight, and we're still talking about the round of 16 performances in the African Cup of Nations tournament. And Friday, the quarterfinals is upon us, and they're starting with Nigeria and Angola. Really, really big game. And we've spoken extensively about that also. The show is brought to you by MTN. And MTN, it is everywhere you go. We're going to take just a quick turn, and when we'll come back, we'll continue the conversation.
He does.
Welcome back. This is AFCON tonight live on Joy Prime, and the show is brought to you by MTN. My name is Zach Musbao, and of course, Darren Krante is in the studio, and John Baffo is also joining us all the way from Abidjan, and we've been having some really exciting, discussion here. Well, thankfully, we mentioned that we'll be hoping that you can get to join us, join the conversation, just to get your thoughts on the round of 16 performances so far. And luckily, we've been told that you can get to join us via phone. All right, so the phone lines are going to be on the screen, and hopefully we'll get to hear from as many people as we can, get to hear from. So the phone lines will be on the screen. You get to join us in the course of it over there. And John, there was something that actually came to mind while we were on break, is the officiating in the tournament. The only outlier maybe might have been yesterday. Sadio Mane's seeming inability, or how will I describe it? His lack not to have gotten a red card with that tackle yesterday. I mean, with the exception of that, the comment from a lot of people is that the officiating has been superb in this tournament. Do you share in that view?
Yeah, certainly the officiating during this tournament has been top-notch. Not many mistakes have been made, and the VAR has been on point. So I think that maybe we could even open our officiating schools to some of the leagues in Europe, mainly the Premier League, so they can make a little bit less mistakes. But on a more serious note, yesterday, there were probably a couple of mistakes that were made, including the Sadio Mane tackle, which even from the stands looked quite bad. And I was surprised that they didn't call it back to give it a red card. But maybe sometimes, in the spur of the moment, some of these things happen. But overall, they've been really, really good. And then also, a second point of contention, which came up from some of the players, was the potential penalty that Senegal could have had on the foul and a foul. But it's one of those things. To be honest, maybe it's a karma thing. It should have been a red card. Maybe it should have been a penalty. But at the end of the day, like Sadio Mane then said at the end of the match, the best team ended up by winning the match.
Interesting. Sadio Mane said the best team ended up winning, but his colleague teammate Kripin Diatta he didn't agree with that. He had quite some strong words for CAF. Not sure I can repeat some of them here, but he wasn't impressed with the performance, and some people were even disappointed that he had to say something like that. Were you surprised that Kripin Diatta was criticizing officiating on the day yesterday?
Oh, he's a young player. Sometimes when these things happen, it's a bit more painful. You look at the conduct of Mane, and you look at the conduct of Diatta, and you understand why Mane is a bit more experienced. He knows how to handle some of these situations better. So I just treat it as he's a young player. I'm sure when he settles down and he looks at some of these things, he realizes that maybe he shouldn't have said that, because they were ridiculous comments. But I'm not going to be too hard on him, because it's football. Look, it's very painful when you've played the football that Senegal has played all through the competition and you get knocked out on the technicalities of a penalty shootout. It can be painful. And when you look, it's the penalty incident John is talking about. It's one of those things. If some will give it, some won't. So it's not cast in stone. It's supposed to be. It's not cast in stone. It's not supposed to be. It's basically down to discretion. And unfortunately for Senegal, the referee didn't deem it as a penalty. So I'm sure when he sits back and he looks at everything on a whole, he realized that officiating actually really favored the Senegalese because for those who watched the game, there were some very funny calls, and I was even asking myself if Côte d'Ivoire were really hosts, because you'd expect some of those decisions to be going their way, especially when you could hear the pressure that the fans were giving to the officials. So I thought the officials held their own. The only downside was that Mane incident, and to be honest, I don't think we've not seen something like this happening in football. When you look at the person, the offender in Mane and his pedigree at that time of the game, if you send him off, it could. Sometimes the emotions of the referee also, they use some of these things to read the situation. I can take you back to the World Cup in 2010, first half. Even Howard Webb admits that, yes, if he was going strictly by the rules, he should have sent, was it Nigel de Jong off? Yeah, it was Nigel de Jong. He should have sent him off. But when he looked at the timing of it, on the occasion, he just allowed it to pass and gave him a yellow card because this thing could go out and ruin the whole game. And if you look at Mane, I don't think he intentionally did. Obviously, the rules are clear. If it's a high foot, it's a high foot. Yes, we know it was supposed to be a red card. But you also need to understand the referees in situations like this. He flashes that red card and it completely destroys the game. So it's not a good enough excuse, but if the Senegalese are angry with officiating, then they really have some nerve.
They really have some nerve. Interesting. Very interesting there. But let's come to the coaching area too, because going to the tournament, there was a lot of talk about some of the coaches that were leading the sides. Quite a number of them had their, former players, even local coaches leading the side. Some of them had the expatriate coaches. You look at the teams in the rounds, in the quarterfinals now. South Africa, they've got an expatriate. Guinea, local man handling the side. Nigeria, Jose Peseira, the Portuguese. The Angolans also got a Portuguese in there. Which other team? Capo Verde. Capo Verde, they have a local man, right?
Yeah. No, he took over, was it the Comoros and Cape Verde now. But for me,
in terms of the coaches that have been able to advance to the quarterfinals now, prior to the tournament, your assessment, your evaluation of the coaches, were you surprised? For me, maybe John, maybe the one coach that surprised me was Jose Peseiro, because, I mean, if you take the Nigerian journalist's assessment of his performance with the Nigerian side, it almost looked like the man is not good enough to handle the Nigerians if he headed into the tournament. But he's gone and he's pulled a surprise. Even Walid Regragui, who was celebrated on the continent because of his coaching prowess, is now out of the tournament, And, well, John, I'll get to pick your thoughts on that and then on your thoughts on that. But let's just hear from our viewers. Our first caller all the way from Tamale, and he's called Abdul Rashid. Rashid, thank you so much for joining us. What do you have to share with us? Any surprises for you so far?
Yes, total surprises. With the AFCON, it's full of surprises. Especially girls to Ivory Coast. For the match, the way because the guy was having opportunity to score. I don't know. Even Mane missing an opportunity. That much I was even worried. And, Ivory Coast, the host nation, I'm happy for them, all right. And today, I'm putting in front of my team. The most shocking game today is South Africa against Morocco. If you see the South Africans, they are playing with passion. Like, they're not I don't feel like star players who playing Europe and all that. But if you see the fighting spirit in all of them, especially the defense, if you see all the attackers, the wingers of Morocco, they could not get their way easily into their 18 yards. And I was very impressed. I was very impressed. I really love it, especially when North Africans are playing with West Africa. I always enjoy it. Because if I see the good work of we West Africans, I always feel happy, even more than the word happy. Look at Ashraf missing a penalty. If you could have maybe caught that penalty, you could have give the Moroccans, let's say, more vim to get maybe into an extra time or something like that.
Rashid, thank you very much.
For him missing the penalty, I think that will also give the South African, the Bafana more vim to get into it.
Thank you very much, Rashid. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. And you can also call us. But John, John, John. Well, John, if you can hear me, just go ahead on that comment about the coaches, Wally Regragui and Aliou Cissé, two of the finest coaches on the continent, already out of Abidjan. I'm sure maybe by tomorrow they'll be out.
Yeah, they'll probably be out by tomorrow. I think coaching is one of those things which is a bit difficult, and it's something that takes time. And it also takes a long-term vision from the federation as to how they're going to invest in the kinds of coaching courses that are there. I know that CAF has a range of courses that they're able to provide the federation. And that's what's key to being able to develop local coaches. Otherwise, we'll just keep going and getting expatriate coaches. I don't think it's an issue to get expatriate coaches, but if there's a real desire to get local coaches, like you would have seen for the Cameroonian team with Rigobert Song, or even the Senegalese team, then there's a need really to invest in coaching and the coaching courses. There's a ongoing debate about potentially having former players becoming coaches or the managers of some of the national teams. Just because you were a player doesn't mean that you will also be a fantastic coach. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a completely different role, and you need the right kinds of trainings, and you need to be able to have set ideas or real ideas that you can able to test with the right kinds of players. That's what you see with the likes of Pep Guardiola or even a Klopp. They have set ideas of how they think that football should be played, and they have the philosophy that they're able to then transmit to the players. So it's something that needs to be learned, and it's something that they need experience, and they need the training for us to be able to get the best out of our local coaches, and hope that with time we're able to get a local coach that can lead probably the Black Stars or some of the other national teams in Africa.
I mean, amazing stuff there. Well, we have Felix on the line. Felix, thank you for joining us. Go ahead. If you have a comment or you have a question for my guys, of course, you can do that. Go ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Good evening, Razak.
Yeah, where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Western North.
Okay, great. Felix, go ahead.
Good evening, Daniel.
Good evening.
So what I want to say is that I'm in Nigeria and I live in Ghana. Okay. I reside in Ghana. I want you guys to support Nigeria on Friday to win the tournament.
Wait, you said you believe Nigeria will win the tournament, right?
Yeah, I'm in Nigeria.
He said he wants us to support Nigeria. I said,
you want us to support Nigeria to win the tournament?
Exactly.
Wow. You know, Charlie, it's like telling us we should support Niger Jollof. It's not possible.
So I would argue...
West Africa.
Yeah, but the tournament is being hosted in West Africa. So, Charlie, that one there.
Yeah. Support because Angola, forget. You see what? You know, there was something that Angola did, I think 2008 or something. They had to do some math, then when they qualify for AFCON. So that is the revenge. So we are sending them back. What are they doing in the AFCON? So we are sending them back on Friday.
Okay, we'll see.
5 p.m., watch out.
Okay, we'll see who go home. John, you wanted to say something. You wanted to add something to that.
Yes, so I was at the Nigeria versus Cameroon match, and I was supporting Nigeria. And the main reason why I was supporting Nigeria was because I wanted Cameroon to go out. As there's a big rivalry between Cameroon and Ivory Coast, I wanted Nigeria to go through. But sorry, for the next game, I'm back to being anti-Nigerian.
Okay, not sure how. That is very clear.
Why you know me already?
He said he's begging you.
If I want to go to Nigeria, I would have to pass. You see, I have neighbors.
You pass through Togo, Benin, and
I'll attend to my neighbors before I go to somewhere. So I'm supporting.
And yeah, it's far.
They are far.
You're far. Sally, then say you are far. You are far. And your love too is not nice.
Not nice to you. So,
Do you have a caller, please? Do you have a caller on the line? Yeah. All right. Well, I think we understand our time is up. But tomorrow we're going to have a lot of time for, the audience. We're going to have some really, really good conversation tomorrow as we build up to the games on Friday. So expect some more time for you on the show. Denos, any final comment? John, final comment. Well, what's happening in Ivory Coast now? Are they sleeping or they are still basking in the excitement?
So funny enough, just before the show started, I heard some fireworks outside. So
hey, fireworks!
People were really excited about Mali qualifying, but thankfully they'll lose against Ivory Coast in the next round. But I'm inviting Daniel specifically because I know Razak, you need to keep hosting the show to come to Ivory Coast and maybe even do a dance off with Akwaba, the mascot. I can arrange that.
Yeah. But John, I'm not sure if you've been able to meet, because strangely yesterday, just when the final whistle was blown, for some few seconds, we saw a gentleman whispering something to the ears of a lady, and that has gone really viral. If you have their contact, I'd love to hear from the lady. What was the man saying?
What do you think he was saying?
I don't know what he was saying.
What do you think he was saying?
I have no idea.
So why are you smiling? Why are you happy? If you didn't know what he was saying, what's that particular clip?
Yeah, you've seen that clip, right?
I've seen that clip. I think he was saying something to the effect that the team spoiled his bet. So he was quite angry and he was.
But he was an Ivorian, actually.
He leave quite fast.
He was an Ivorian. He was wearing the Ivorian jersey,
Yeah, he was, but
Yeah, they spoiled his bet. He went for a straight win.
His bet.
And then they took it to
he went for a
penalties.
straight win,
Okay.
So he's telling the lady, listen, I'll see you later. I need to go home and cry.
Okay, that's an interesting interpretation, but the wait. No, I don't think that was a message. The message was clear.
What was the message?
The message was a message. That's the message. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. We're going to be back same time tomorrow, 10 to 11 p.m. It was brought to you by MTN. My name is Razak Musbah. Thank you, John. Have a wonderful night in Abidjan. And Daniel, of course, have a wonderful night with Mrs. also. I'm going home to my bed and my pillow. Do have a lovely evening.